Imagine being one of the most powerful men in the world, surrounded by friends, allies, men who smiled at your table, laughed at your jokes, called you brother. And then, in a single shocking moment, those same hands pull daggers from their robes and turn your body into a battlefield. This is not fiction. This is ancient Rome. And this is the story of what happened after the most famous political murder in history. Because assassinating Julius Caesar did not bring freedom. It unleashed fear, betrayal, revenge, and a chain of deaths so brutal that history itself feels like a warning carved in stone. The senators believed they were saving the Republic. They shouted "For Rome" as they stabbed him. But the moment Caesar fell, Rome did not celebrate. Rome trembled. And what came next was not glory, it was consequences. Because power never dies quietly, it hunts back. And one by one, the men who raised their blades would discover that killing a ruler is easy. Surviving the aftermath is nearly impossible. And the first shockwave came instantly. Crowds rioted, loyal soldiers whispered revenge, and the assassins, who thought they were heroes, suddenly realized they had turned themselves into targets, hunted not just by armies, but by destiny itself. And here's the twist most people never think about. None of them died peacefully. None of them faded into quiet retirement. Their ends were dramatic, violent, and poetic in ways that almost feel scripted by fate itself. Marcus Brutus, the name forever linked with betrayal, the man Caesar trusted like a son. Believed he was doing the noble thing, he convinced himself Rome needed saving, that tyranny must be stopped, and for a moment he walked proudly through the streets, thinking history would thank him. But history has a cruel sense of humor, because admiration quickly turned into suspicion, allies turned distant, and enemies multiplied in silence. Brutus fled Rome, not as a hero, but as a fugitive of public opinion, gathering armies, writing letters, trying to justify the blood on his hands. Yet every night the ghost of Caesar seemed to follow him, and when the civil war erupted and the battlefield dust filled the air, Brutus found himself facing the unstoppable force of Mark Antony and Octavian, the new rising powers who carried Caesar's name like a banner of vengeance. The Battle of Philippi was not just a clash of swords, it was the collision of ideals versus reality. And when defeat became inevitable, Brutus did what many Roman elites considered honorable yet tragic. He fell upon his own sword, ending his life with the very weapon that once promised freedom. And the irony burned through history. The man who tried to end dictatorship ended his own story in silence, proving that intentions do not shield you from consequences.
Gaius Cassius, the mastermind, the strategist, the one who whispered plans into ears and stitched the conspiracy together like a dark tapestry, believed intelligence would protect him. He trusted calculations, alliances, tactics. But war does not obey logic. It obeys momentum, and momentum was on the side of Caesar's heirs. Cassius watched his forces crumble, piece by piece, hope slipping like sand through his fingers, and in a tragic misunderstanding during the chaos of battle, he believed everything was lost when it was not yet fully over. That single mistaken assumption became his final decision. He ordered his servant to kill him, choosing death rather than capture, and in that moment, the brilliant planner was defeated not by enemies, but by misinformation and despair, a reminder that fear can be deadlier than swords. And as his body fell, the conspiracy lost its spine, morale shattered, and Rome moved one step closer to empire instead of republic, exactly the opposite of what these men claimed they wanted, which raises a haunting question. Were they liberators or architects of their own downfall?
Decimus Brutus, often forgotten yet crucial, was the one who convinced Caesar to attend the Senate on that fatal day, the final push that sealed fate. And betrayal at that level rarely goes unanswered. He tried to escape, to reorganize, to survive the storm he helped create, but Rome had turned into a web of informants and shifting loyalties. Soldiers defected, supporters vanished, and he became a man running out of roads, eventually captured and executed, not in grand ceremony, but in grim inevitability. and others followed similar paths. Some were hunted down, some killed in skirmishes, some poisoned by the paranoia they themselves had unleashed. The republic they dreamed of restoring slipped further away as Octavian tightened his grip, transforming Rome into the very imperial power they feared. And the deeper irony cuts even sharper. By trying to prevent a king, they cleared the path for an emperor. Their daggers did not save democracy, they accelerated its end, and history watched without mercy.
So when you look back at the assassination of Julius Caesar, it is tempting to see a single dramatic scene, a circle of senators, white togas stained red, a famous last phrase echoing through marble halls. But the real story is what followed, the slow unraveling of every conspirator's life, the domino effect of violence birthing more violence, ambition feeding revenge, and ideals drowning in political reality. Each assassin believed he controlled the narrative, yet none controlled the ending. Their deaths became lessons whispered through centuries that power struggles rarely end with applause. They end with silence, graves, and rewritten histories. And here's the hook that still grips audiences today. The men who tried to change Rome forever did succeed, just not in the way they imagined. They didn't stop tyranny, they reshaped it. They didn't become heroes, they became cautionary tales. And in the end, the blades that struck Caesar also carved their own destinies, proving that when you step into history with a dagger, you must be ready for history to step back with a sword.